Hi, it's Laura at Aquamarine 18 Tarot and Books. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. Welcome or welcome back. I am here with a look at a new deck to my collection. One of my little birthday treats that I got myself during the month of March. And this is a oracle deck by 9 Coins of Tarot Tube. I will link to Sean's channel below. This is the Oracle of Simple Space. And this is a deck that she created and put up on Make Playing Cards, and so that is where I picked it up. I will put a link below to her Make Playing Cards shop as well, where she has several oracle decks, and I'm really excited to share this with you. As you can tell, it is a space-themed deck, and if you know me and you know my channel, you know I love space. I'm into astrology, and I'm also into science fiction, so this touches a lot of things that are important to me and that I care about and that I like working with. So I was really excited to see this deck, and I think that with this deck, there's a lot of really interesting things about this deck, I think, that make it unique. So I'm happy to share that. I want to do a walkthrough of the deck, and I also want to share some pairs that I think would be good with this one, and then some potential uses of this deck, like how I would work with it. So this, again, is the Oracle of Simple Space. Before I start flipping through the cards, I'll just read this title card. The quote, "Let's wander through the cosmos, read intuitively, explore the abstract textures and colors and light and shadow. Take what the universe may be offering." So this deck is 56 cards. It is tarot sized. And from the description, it is made with open source images and some original digital collage work. So that is the medium. It is on the smooth Make Playing Cards cardstock, which I'm sure folks are very familiar with. So I'll start with a Chatty flip through, and then we'll look at some potential pairs for this deck. And I've put the cards in a different order than what they came in. There are some very clear kind of groupings of cards in this deck, as you'll see. So I'll zoom in a little bit. The colors are really vibrant. So I have Sun as will, Moon as feeling, Mercury as communication, Venus as pleasure. These like amazing textured photographs of the surfaces of these planets are really amazing. Earth, groundedness. Mars, action. Jupiter, expansion. Saturn, discipline. Uranus, change. Neptune, intuition. Pluto, death. So for the first set of cards, we have the planets, and these are keywords I think that make sense if you know something about astrology. For example, the association of Mercury with communication or Venus with pleasure. Like, these are not going to be new associations for you. I think that they will make sense, but I also feel like with these keywords, like, you don't really need to know anything about astrology to work with this, which I think is one of the things that makes it so clever. We then have the zodiac, and they all have these kind of I statements associated with them. I arrive. Good for cardinal fire. Taurus, I resist. As a Taurus moon and a Taurus Mars, I really like that I resist was chosen here. Gemini, I adapt. Cancer, I tend. Leo, I radiate. Virgo, I question. Libra, I balance. Scorpio, I persist. Sagittarius, I explore. Capricorn, I prosper. Aquarius, I understand. Pisces, I imagine. So all of the signs there. And again, I think, if you're an astrology person, that these will, be phrases that would make sense. I also think, again, that these are cards that need not be read in a strictly astrological way. Right? I arrive. You don't need to read this in a way that connects it to your chart or something like that, or what house Aries is in your chart, but you could. Right? So I think that it's a really flexible deck in that way. And then we have cards that are not overtly astrological at all, I think. So star, direction, shooting star, blessing, solar eclipse, uncertainty, lunar eclipse, revelation, black hole, heaviness, supernova, transcendence, comet, timely. In ancient astrology, comets often were a sign of something negative going to happen. Asteroid, disruption. That's a very cool looking asteroid to me. Like, I just want Starship Enterprise to come out from behind. Meteor shower, movement. It's a very kind of Eight of Wands-y meteor shower. Dark matter, disparaged self. It's like really interesting. Nebula, creation. Galaxy, relation. Void, liminal space. Love that. Love liminal space. Quasar, message. Oh, I didn't even really show the backs. It's the back of the card. They're cool. The Jovian system, strength. Star cluster, abundance, an abundance of stars. Atmosphere, protection. Infinity, beyond understanding. Atom, the root. Life, hope. And there's a little sprout of life here in this picture. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it on camera, but there's a little hint of life there. Ice, possibility. The possibility of life. Finding ice, finding water in any form on a planet, brings the possibility of life as we know it anyway. Lava, passion. Rubble, effort. Gas, knowledge. That's an interesting correspondence. I could think of that in terms of like an airy association, like a swords association. Big Bang, beginning. Artificial intelligence, caution. And there are some like astronomy related cards in here, which I think is really fun too. So for the Fool, we have the astronaut. And the Fool is there. I think that is amazing. Moonwalk. Patience. Think of small steps, right? Space probe. Isolation. Maybe curiosity, exploring. And then we have another set of cards here, past. We have memory, present, implementation, and future, vision. So that is the Oracle of Simple Space. I think that this is a really cool deck. And before I got it, I knew that I would like to pair it with a number of other decks in my collection. So I've been thinking about what to pair it with. I'm going to give it a shuffle. And then I'm going to show you some of the pairs that I thought of. And of course it shuffles very well. I really like the Make Playing Cards cardstock, like a number of their cardstocks I really like. I like this smooth cardstock very much. Some of my favorite decks are on this and have held up really nicely, so that's a plus. And it's nice that it's tarot size because, you know, some Oracle decks are so big that it inhibits how many I can have on my table, and this, I think, is great. So, okay. Decks that I would potentially put this alongside. There are a couple of decks in my collection that felt like really obvious choices in terms of tarot decks to put this alongside, and I'm sure that if you all know my channel, you know what's coming. Now, it had to happen, right? I had to put the Star Trek deck with the space deck. And look at how good they look. This is amazing. I think that this these look even better together than I knew that they would. I think this is awesome. Tribbles. Oh, you don't prosper with a lot of tribbles though. Because then they eat everything in that episode, right? This is a really good deck, the Telekiad Star Trek deck. I am really excited and hopeful that they are going to do other, like Star Trek Next Generation, and I'm crossing my fingers for DS9, which I loved. I think that these look great together. I knew they would. That would be my first thought as a pairing for this one. Another one that came to mind to pair with this is the Stars of Umber Tarot by FF Songana. This was a Kickstarter that I think maybe is available as a print on demand now. I'm not sure. I think it was a Make Playing Cards printing though. And this is another space deck. It has the text on the back. This is a cool illustrated, Pippish science fiction kind of deck that I think would go well with the Oracle of Simple Space. This is a fun deck to play with. Look at this death on an island. Yep, these look fabulous together. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Isn't that Magician awesome too? This is really good too. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Okay. Stars of Umber looks great, as I figured that it would. Now, I don't usually do Oracle paired with other Oracle necessarily, but a pair that I thought might be cool to do 2 Oracle decks together would be to do Oracle of Simple Space with Jessica Bott's Phenomena Oracle. And the reason that I thought of this is because I think of astrology and looking at the astrology of the day, right? Like looking at the aspects or transits that might be happening to my birth chart as very akin to checking the weather. Checking the weather just a little bit higher up to see what might be going on. And so this Phenomena deck is a weather themed deck. And I feel like this could be a cool combination to kind of get a read on the day. Maybe this would be good with my, frequently my morning reading will be, you know, what's going on today and how do I navigate it in the best way. Maybe that would be a good, there are a couple of kind of spacey cards in this one too, but not for the most part. Very different art, obviously, very different styles, but I could see maybe making a kind of check-in spread that would have a spot for each of these together. I think that looks cool. I mostly pair Tarot and Oracle together though, as opposed to Oracle and Oracle. So another direction I thought that pairings with the Oracle of Simple Space could go is with like really, you know, down to earth, earthy deck. Like the opposite of a space theme, right? And so then I started thinking about something like La Flora Tarot, which is of course plant themed. I don't know about that visually as much because of how much white space La Flora Tarot has. But something about the idea of plants and galaxies is appealing to me. Yeah, visually I don't think that this is as good as some of the other pairs that I showed already, but it might be interesting to see how they get along. So I will play and see what happens. Of course, for a nature-based, down-to-earth deck, you know what's coming. Another Make Playing Cards deck, which is one of my absolute favorite decks of all time. The Naturescapes. I think this works. And with them being the same size, I feel like designing some spreads like would be interesting. The Hermit and Lava. That is cool. Yep, I'm into this. I'm into this. I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited. I think that, oh, that looks so good. So, so, so good. Okay, I'm into that. That's a good pair. And I don't put just any Oracle with Naturescapes, you know. Now, the last one that I thought, since the Oracle of Simple Space is so expansive, because space is so expansive, I thought, like, what if I put it with a deck that is the absolute opposite of expansive to me and very kind of self-contained? And so that led me to think about the Tildwick as an interesting potential deck friend for Oracle of Simple Space. These have very, very different feels. This is mostly interior spaces, right? Not all. There are some, I think, gardens and things. Yeah, there are some gardens and things like that in this deck, but it's a very interior deck. It's a very inside deck. It can feel almost enclosing, I think. Like, it feels very much like an enclosed space to me. So putting these together, ooh, that looks good. That looks good. Okay. I think that the color palettes are interesting together. I think that this is cool. Yep, I think that that's cool. Okay. So basically, I think the Oracle of Simple Space is awesome and goes with a lot of things, is the is the conclusion there. So I thought I would end with just some ideas of how I would use this, other than in pairs, which feels fairly obvious. I feel like there's a couple of things that you could do with this. I, of course, shuffled it, so now it's going to be hard to find anything that I want. Yeah, we'll take a couple of those. I was looking for the past, present, future cards. Okay. One thing that I feel like you could do with a deck like this is to use the cards to make spread positions for a reading. So, for example, one could do a past, present, future spread. Now, if I zoom out, you're going to see how much of a mess I've made. How much of a mess I've made of this table. Okay. You could do a past, present, future spread to go with these past, present, future cards. And there's a Judgment, Five of Cups, and Queen of Coins. So here, these would not be read so much as pre-chosen as a spread position. And a lot of kind of astrology themed decks, I think, lend themselves to this kind of reading. You could similarly choose these cards, I think, as representative of the 12 houses in your birth chart. So you could say, okay, for me, Capricorn is in my second house. So I could put these cards all out and say, you know, what's up in my second house? What do I need to know about that area of my life right now? And then on top of that, you know, pick out a card from the tarot and say, okay, what's up in my kind of second house of resources? You know, things are growing with the Three of Coins, for example, right? So you could do something like that with those ones. I think you could also do the same thing with, you know, maybe the planet cards in terms of, you know, what do I need to know about how I'm expressing kind of my Mars right now or something like that, if you wanted to do that. I don't think this is an astrology deck, though, which is something that I find very interesting and one of the reasons that I like it so much. This has definitely some astrological concepts in it. It definitely has some astrological terms. You know, it could be used in terms of laying out a birth chart. You could lay out all of the signs in a row or in a circle and then place your planets, right? So for me, Jupiter is in Aries, so I could lay them out like that as a way of visualizing what my birth chart is like. that could be interesting. But I think that ultimately what drew me to this deck so much is that I think that this deck will function perfectly well in a reading on its own. I love pairing decks, don't get me wrong, but I really like when an oracle deck really can kind of stand on its own in a reading. So if I was going to do my morning reading of, what's going on today and how can I best deal with what's going on today, I usually do that with tarot or with dice, actually. But what's going on today and how can I best navigate that? Scorpio's what's going on. That's an intense day. What's up is Scorpio. And I'm gonna have to just accept the fact that there's some uncertainty going on, right? So I think that this is a deck that could work in a reading on its own, whether or not you know astrology, and even whether or not you're really that interested in astrology, which I think is interesting because for me this is ultimately a space-themed deck, not an astrology deck or an astronomy deck, because it's kind of both, right? What's going on today? Opportunities for expansion are happening today. There's something going on that has room for growth. Good time to get creative, right? I think that this deck is absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited to have it, and I thank Tishan over at 9 Coins for making this deck and for making this deck available to us on your shop. I really appreciate it. I think it's wonderful. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all a great day. Bye.